Hi, it's Global Politics with Jim Martin. I wanted to talk this morning about the victory of the Liberal Party in Canadian elections yesterday. Now, the results are not quite entirely finalized, but it's clear that the Liberals have won enough seats to form a government and that Mark Carney will be the next Prime Minister. Now, a little bit of context on where we're coming from here is that really 6 months ago, it looked like the Conservative Party was going to ride a wave of discontent about the person of Justin Trudeau and the policies of the Liberal Party to a relatively easy victory. However, that has been turned on its head. And as is the case these days, Trump's involved. So how did we get here? Well, when Donald Trump won the election and was inaugurated, the Conservative Party chose a path that was very much akin to what many other prime ministers in Canada have done and other country leaders in the past, is that they chose to placate and just play as if this is the same game as always. And we congratulate Donald Trump on his victory, and we look forward to working with him and maintaining our great relationship and all these things. And then Trump actually took office. And when he did that, he began to talk about Canada as the 51st state, and invading Greenland, and how we were going to take over, and Canada might as well be the United States anyway, and then slapped huge tariffs on the country, 20 to 25%, which are still in place, by the way, and sometimes higher on certain things. That made Canadians really angry, and they, unlike Americans, kind of remember what their politicians say. And thus, when the Conservatives began a clumsy pivot towards opposition to Trump, they remembered that. The Liberals, on the other hand, have always had a kind of antagonistic relationship with Trump and doubled down on that in the person of Mark Carney. And so Mark Carney is kind of a technocrat guy, a successful person, kind of person who manages and puts people in places where they can be successful and do the jobs that he needs. Perfect guy to step in there. The way that the Liberals were able to generate such a win was basically to steal votes from the other left party in Canadian politics, the New Democrats, and they suffered a really kind of a crushing defeat in this election. Now, don't get me wrong, this Liberal victory does not mean that Canadians are a single-minded folk in terms of their opposition to Trump. Many conservative voters also prioritize more traditional issues like the economy and immigration, and a particular area of concern for Canadians, housing, tremendous housing shortages in Canada due to their population growth. While many Canadians cared a bit more about those things than others, enough to provide support for a fairly sizable conservative group of parliamentarians. Nonetheless, the opposition to Donald Trump really runs deep now in Canada. Where does that leave us? Basically, that means that we're going to see a much more antagonistic relationship between Canada and the United States for the foreseeable future. The next Canadian legislative elections, barring something unforeseen like a vote of no confidence at some point, aren't for another 5 years. So this means that our relationship with Canada, our first or second largest trading partner, depending on the year, has been inalterably changed for the worse. This is not a good thing, but it certainly presents a focal point of international opposition to Donald Trump.